Hey y'all, I'm Grace from Words Like Silver, and I'm setting up this YouTube channel to defend Fire by Kristin Cashore. Fire is the protagonist in this book, and I've noticed that the first person I'm going up against is Katniss, which seems almost impossible, but just think about it. Katniss was the girl who was on fire. Fire is fire herself. She represents the actual power behind it. Most of the point about the Hunger Games and Fire is that they're suffering, but Katniss is the one who ran crying to the public. She's the one who's all the buzz is about, but it's Fire who's the strongest, because Fire is the one who suffered in silence and had passion and everything else that you could. She went through loss. She had to, spoiler alert, she killed her own father for the good of her country, but Katniss sacrificed things for Prim, and people died because of that. But it's just, Fire is the strongest person I've ever read about. And one of the reasons that people don't know about her is because, unlike the Hunger Games, Fire doesn't have a huge movie deal. Kristin Cashore doesn't really have an online presence that much, so people don't really know about it. But that's the true beauty of it, is that if people don't know about it, no, it's just because people don't know about it, they don't know how strong she is. That silence is what makes her strong. Now, this vlog is going to be in several parts, but there's just everything. It's just, people have considered her monster for years. People don't believe her for anything, and they try to kill her, and men talk about doing awful things to her just because she exists. And people blame her because of her father. Katniss was just poor. She was just trying to survive. But not only does Fire have to try to survive, but she has to do it around people who hate her. Now just imagine everything you've ever gone through in school and just that feeling of aloneness and helplessness. That's what Fire feels every day, and people just don't get the chance to know her. Because there's just so much I could say about her. It's kind of hard to put in one sentence because I'm just trying to do this all at once. But let's start with the beginning. Okay. She has to live far away from anybody because nobody likes the idea of her being alive. That's like taking someone, taking someone and deciding that you don't like one of their features, so they have to be a pariah. Katniss at least had people that loved her. Fire has nobody, and that's what makes her strong inside. She doesn't have anybody to turn to. She has to make herself strong inside. I'm sorry, I just got a little teary there. But I know that I might not be able to win this, but it's not about that. It's about showing what Fire can do. Fire is, seriously, Katniss was the girl who was on fire, but Fire is Fire. Fire's the one who started it all. She's just the one who has the power to do. She has power, and people hate her because of it. Also, look at the bow. She can shoot just as well as Katniss. All Katniss has going for her is love for her sister and an extreme ability to shoot a bow and arrow. And she abandoned the people she loved. Like, not for the arena, but she manipulated people in front of the cameras just so that she could stay alive. She didn't care about PETA. She at first she was trying to turn her emotions off, but Fire had her emotions the entire time. Like, sorry, I just have to use this reference, but I'm a Vampire Diaries fan. Stefan had to turn his everyone was telling people to turn their emotions off because it's easier. Katniss turns hers off. Fire is the one who keeps them the entire way and keeps fighting for it. So then, also, just think about it. She had to kill her own father. Like, I'm sorry, this is going to be full of spoilers, But for the good of, she loved her father. She knew that he was scary and that he wanted to do everything for her and would punish the people who messed with her. But honestly, she watched him. She was the one who orchestrated her death, and then she still had to keep it a secret because she didn't want anybody to know. She didn't want everybody to know that she was the savior, the one who saved them from him. She chose to keep humility. Humility is the whole point of this. Humility, Katniss just told everybody on national television everything that she did. She just cared about, she cared about family, but Fire cares about everybody. Like, there's this whole scene in the beginning of the Hunger Games that's like, the beginning of Catching Fire, my bad, where Katniss is like, the answer to who I am lies in what I was thinking when I held out those berries. If you go to the end of the book, she was mostly thinking about Peeta. That is selfish. Fire had to think about everybody, and she had to watch her father die in front of her eyes just so that she could be safer and everybody could be safer from him, because she knew that everyone hated him. And what did they do? They still hated her. That is strength. That is courage. And that is true fire. Anyways, people talk about having fire in their bellies or fiery passion or anything, but it all revolves around fire. Fire is the true essence of fire. Yeah. And then, but she's scared of herself, and that's what makes her strong. She's scared of what people think of her, what people might do to her. She's scared, and the strong part about that is that she admits it. She is completely alone in the world, and she can do everything that Katniss can do, but she does it in silence. She doesn't broadcast it to the entire world. And she doesn't do it out of selfishness. She does it out of selflessness. She does it with humility. And humble people are the strongest. Those self-serving people, those heroes who completely ignore everybody but themselves. That is not heroism. Heroism is the quiet people who just want to do a day's work. And the quiet people who try to save the world and might fail. But the true beauty is that they do it alone. There's just so much I could say about this. Like, there are going to be a ton of things about this. But also, she has to learn. She saves entire kingdoms. And she doesn't expect to get thanked for it. She doesn't expect just amazing things to happen. And then it's just, think back to Mockingjay. Katniss does it mostly for the press. She does it so that they can rise about the capital, which is good for her nation. But she does it mostly out of selfishness. Because she's always thinking about how it will affect her and her family. Fire was thinking about everybody. She doesn't really care about herself. And that's sad, but that's also amazing, because no matter what, each person thinks of themselves as the most important person in the world. But Fire doesn't. She just wants to save the world. And she wants to keep people from experiencing the same things she does. She protects the people who do those awful things to her. And that is what makes her stronger. Just the whole point of the But the whole point of this tournament is to show who is the best. But is the best the loudest and the bravest, or is it the one who suffers the most and is in silence but is selfless and humble, who wants to do everything for everybody else and leaves nothing for herself? That is Fire. Fire is amazing. Fire, in everything, Fire is considered one of the most amazing things that we have. Without it, we would probably die. But just, that's symbolic, because fire keeps everybody alive. It's watching her grow, and it's her maturity and amazement amazingness about everything that she does. She puts so much passion into it that it's hard not to think of her as a hero. And she is a hero because she's the quiet one. She's the one who doesn't speak out about it. She's the one who does everything for everybody else and expects to get nothing back. But just, if you haven't read Fire, read it, because you're going to want to read it, and you're going to want to see how much stronger she is than Katniss. So seriously, read it. I'm going to hold giveaways and stuff for this book, because everybody has to read it. Because where would we be without Fire? Where would we be without her? Because she is the strongest person I've ever read about, and you should read about her too, because one of the reasons that Katniss might win is because she's everywhere. Everybody reads about her, but nobody bothers to read about the person who nobody talks about. But the thing is that Fire touches very few people just because she's not as talked about. But the people she does touch, she changes forever, because she is the essence of strength. She will always be an icon, and that's what we strive for in a hero. We want our heroes to be just as selfless and just amazing as she is, and everybody needs to realize that before it's too late. And just promise me, read it, and whoever reads it, I'll be hosting giveaways for people who actually read it, because Fire is just absolutely amazing, and you don't realize her power until you read about it. Her quiet humility, it's just Fire. It's everything that each human should try to be is contained in this book, because it's all about Fire. And just keep on watching this channel for more interviews about and things about Fire, because I have a lot to say about her. Like, my post for Why a Crush Journey is going to be about, I don't know, like 3,000 words, 4,000. I don't care. I just need to get my point across that Fire is the most important character. She's done everything for everybody else and expects to get nothing back. And how many people can you say have said that? Because strength is the people who suffer in silence and expect and give everything to the world and expect nothing back. That is what true strength is. And if you can't recognize it, I can't really change it, but just vote for her and you'll see what true strength is like. Thank you. So just check back eventually and keep on checking back, and I'll have special giveaways. I'm going to set up a new blog for Fire, and I'm going to do a ton of cool stuff for her. So just keep your eyes out for it, and I'll be basically everything I'm doing in the next month is for Fire. And if I don't get past the first seed, I don't really mind, but I'm going to still be talking about her because she's one of the most inspiring characters I've ever come across. Thank you, and bye.